Hi everyone, welcome back to another vlog. Now, if you've seen my previous vlog, you know and you will understand that I talked about the future of education because some of us out there just has so many questions about where our current education is going. Anyway, so far I haven't really heard from anybody. I know there are a few that have watched the video, but I don't get any comments or whatsoever. But never mind, as long as the news gets out there and we educationists get to question ourselves. So anyway, after asking that question to everybody else, I began thinking about a lot of things about the current education for the future. And I realized that maybe there are some things that cannot be answered, and possibly there are some things that can be answered. Anyhow, I thought that I would carry on to a second vlog and look at possible questions again that we can ask ourselves about the things that we can do. So some of the things that I have caught on or learned during this pandemic and going forward, now that we're moving on into allowing this pandemic to become part of our lives, what are some of the things that the school can think about? Now, I know ever since the pandemic, schools have been doing a lot. I think a lot more than what the current school funding is allowing the schools to do. I mean, there is so many things as teachers that we need to take upon ourselves to make learning something interesting, something children enjoy, something they still want to continue coming to the computer to see. Now, let's face it, all these things were not taken into consideration when funding was done way before. So now it's either funding for schools have gone up or funding for schools have gone down. So in terms of schools trying to accomplish more than what the funding allows, it definitely means that employees, you need to be trained more to do what you were thought to do, right? But what I want to ask you is, how is the school supporting you, us as teachers, to train ourselves? How do we equip ourselves? Are we being provided adequate training for going online, and not only going online, but transiting from online learning to coming back to natural learning? Now, I've been talking to a lot of parents about some of the changes that they see in their children, and one of it is how children find it very difficult to adjust to strangers. So what are we doing as teachers? How are we coping? What training is being provided for us? We want to be good at what we do. So yes, please ask yourselves, trainers out there, teachers out there, what are you being offered from by the school? I think the second thing that the school can look at is, if we know ever since the pandemic, parent engagement has been very high. Remote schooling has forced parents to learn more about their children, and I think that's a wonderful opportunity. Now the schools, I want to ask all of us, what can we do to build upon that process? Now that parents are more involved with their children's learning, now that they've sat with their children in front of the computer, gone through their homeworks with them, gone through their lessons with them, gone through their learning for the day, parents have become more involved, and that's really, like I mentioned, it's really great. But as a school, how do we build upon that? What can we do to build upon that? Do we include that in the curriculum? How can we keep these parents to be involved in their children's learning process, right? And I think the other thing is, this is just not one way. It's just not about the parent. It's also about the student. I think as teachers we know more about the student learning from home. Now that they are learning from home, you get to see their behavior, how they are, who influences them, what is their style of learning. I think as teachers we have come to learn more about children, and I think the question is, how can we build upon that too? It's a learning for us. It's also a wonderful learning for teachers, definitely, on the children that you have. How can we use this to build upon the children? And their learning process, and they're growing up, and they're mixing in school. I mean, these are opportunities that we have, for all of us, for parents, for educators, and definitely for the school. As I mentioned, I think point one was about the school, point two was about the parents, and definitely point three is about the children. So some things for us to think about, and maybe I would suggest do take it very seriously, because there are opportunities here that we can what's the word, that we can grasp upon. So how can we support this, right? So for all educators out there, please think about it, and if you have anything to say, put your comments down below so we can have a conversation that goes two ways. Thank you very much, and thank you for taking the time to listen.